Hey lovelies, you're welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Let's get into today's video. Today we're going to be talking about the Love and Marriage Huntsville ratings that have been released for the new episode. We're also going to be talking about Destiny, talking about how Melody can't stay friends with Love and Marriage Huntsville cast and what she thinks about that. So we're going to break all of that down. But if you're new to this channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and tap that bell button right next to it so you know every single time that I post or go live. And everyone, please like, share, and don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. Now let's get into today's video. So you guys know so far this season I've been covering the ratings for the episodes. I've broken it down quite a lot of times and I've gone into a lot of detail as to why I think the ratings are low and what I feel that they could do to change that. Today, I'm not going to be going into a lot of detail on that just because I feel like I've talked about this a lot. But what I will say is that the ratings for the new episode are still not looking great. So whatever is being done is still ain't working. Now, I will say that it is 1,000 people more than the previous current season low. However, it still is not looking good. If we think about it, the viewership rate is still in the range of 200,000. Now, think about there have been previous seasons that had gotten up to 300,000 or 400,000. So it is obvious that this season ain't doing so well. Now, normally people say the blackout don't work, and I have also been skeptical about it in the past, but this blackout seems to be working as it is still showing that it's on an all-time low. Now, of course, some people also have been speculating that because Melody Shari was in this episode, that the ratings went up a little bit. That may be so, but I think even the majority of the people who support Melody Shari are not watching the show, in my personal opinion. And I know you guys don't be watching it, for most of you anyway, because you stay in my comment section talking about blackout. So I do believe that for the majority of the millimeters are not really watching the show, or are watching the show in a way that does not give views or ratings to Love and Marriage Huntsville. Of course, you guys remember how they were saying things like, oh, when events are going on, that's only when the show doesn't get as much viewership, blah, blah, blah. Well, we know ain't nothing going on, and still the viewership is low, and it is consistently low. And also, for those who have been selectively blacking out, i.e. watching the show in a way that does not necessarily give views, you will know that on the show has not been interesting so far. Now, of course, it was nice to see Melody and some of her friends on the show, but still, it as a show, it just was not interesting enough. Like, even just thinking back to what's happened this season, I can't tell you because it's so boring, right? And so I feel like this is why they are definitely in that slump about it. And also, let's not forget, Destiny was talking about like ratings are gonna be high because Carlos brought her to save the show. Girl, you cannot save the show. A lot of people were actually rooting for you to leave the show to begin with, so I think it would be delusional for Destiny to think that her presence or absence is going to make the show in some way. Now, Anonymous said something and I can't unsee it or unhear it. She was talking about the fact that like carlosking has more subscribers than people that are tuning into the show. That is crazy. Imagine the producer having more subscribers than the people watching the show. That is hella crazy. That just means people are not interested in the show. Because if a good number of his subscribers cannot head over there to watch the show, then it's like maybe the show has run its course. Besides, you guys know that he is bringing out a new show, and I'm guessing that's where his focus is going to be now. Now that Love and Marriage Huntsville is not pulling the numbers that it has been pulling in the past. Now let's move on to Destiny. So an article surfaced about Destiny's interview where she was talking about her experience returning back to Love and Marriage Huntsville. So just to make it clear, the article is titled Love and Marriage Huntsville, Destiny Payton on overcoming the ordeal after former producer married her ex. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way, now let's get into it. So before I get into certain bits, I'm just going to read a little bit about what was said and we're going to break it down, right? So the intro to the article talks about the fact that Destiny was introduced to us in season 2 and fans weren't really feeling her to begin with. People felt that she came across as guarded and sometimes cold. But according to her, she was simply going through the motions. The article then also talks about the fact that she found love again in Moses, who she had been friends with for 15 years. But not too long after their breakup, she learned that Moses was dating and quickly married her former producer from the show, Sunny. Okay, so if we fast forward it a little bit, this talks about the article with Blavity, Shadow and Act, and how Payton, Destiny gave us a teaser of what was to come on the show. So of course they're giving her like the intro, like congrats on being back on the show, blah blah blah. Now because I'm not really interested in the Sunny and Moses's drama, if you guys want me to cover that, I can cover that in a later video, but I'm not really interested in that. I'm gonna just move on to the bit where she talks about our girl Melody Shari. Okay, so she was asked, when we first met you on the show, you came in as a friend of Melody's, and she made sure to clarify it was Mel and Martell. Okay, then it was asked, your friendship has gone south with Melody. There seems to be a theme on the show that her friendships are not sustainable. Is there something that we are not seeing behind the scenes about why she has not been able to sustain these relationships with the cast? First of all, I absolutely hate that question, because that question makes it seem you're asking someone that is not cool with another person a question about, is there something they're not seeing behind the scenes about why Melody cannot sustain a relationship? That puts the blame on Melody for the failure of these relationships when it takes two to tango. Let's be clear. And I don't think that's fair. I think it should have been more of an open question that is not leading in any way. Just to pretty much ask, your friendship has gone south with Melody. What do you think it's the reason? And then what do you think the reason for Melody's friendships going south with other people on the show? That could have been a more open question. Instead, it is clear that whoever is that is asking this question seem to have had a bias of some sort towards Melody, which is coming out in the questioning. That's just one thing I want to quickly say. Quick segue before we continue, okay? Now, Destiny did respond and say 100% and patterns don't lie. Now, like I said, the interviewer set it up in that way by asking that question in such a leading way. What did she think, or what did the person think that Destiny was going to say? Of course, Destiny could have said no, but I just feel like it is such a leading question. And if someone is not in good terms with another person, what do you think they're going to say? You know what they're going to say. You're just doing it for drama, in my opinion. Okay? So then there is the follow-up question about what would you attribute that to? And so then she says, there is a lot of play on social media. There is a lot of play on the blogs. It's clearly coming from one side. How, Sway? There is a lot of play on the blogs, but it's coming from one side. That is far from the truth. There are so many bloggers on these YouTube or in these YouTube streets, honey, with different opinions. Different people support different people, right? And then you have more people like me who give balanced commentary as well, right? We stand up for what is right, but we give very balanced feedback. So if someone like Marceau, that we don't see it for, does something great, we talk about it, we address it, and we give him the credit for whatever it is that he's done well, right? We give balanced feedback on here. So there is a wide range of people. It is not just from one side. I just don't like when people try to sway the narrative just because they're trying to make a point. stand on what is your truth, right? And give the facts. There is no need to now start adding, oh, it's all clearly coming from one side. You know that ain't true. Cut it out. But anyway, let's move on. So then she says, and that's my opinion. Okay. You're allowed to have your opinions. It is what it is. I feel your opinion is wrong, but it is your opinion, so that's what that is. And then she says, I could be wrong, but for me, well, I do appreciate her saying she could be wrong because she is wrong. I could be wrong, but for me, the only thing that I can speak up on specifically is about our relationship and why it got to the place that it is. Because before I was very confused. Okay. Now, I will say this. I appreciate the fact that Destiny is saying here that she can only speak specifically about what happened between her and Melody as opposed to like on everyone else. Now, I wish she had kept that energy when she was asked if there was something we're not seeing as to why she's not been able to sustain these relationships. Why didn't you say, I can only speak on my relationship with Mel and not any other person's relationship? Instead, you said 100% and patterns don't lie. So now you want to then take the high road when you are asked to expound in it. Because the truth is, I feel that you don't have concrete information to back up what you said, where you said patterns don't lie and 100% blah, blah, blah. You can't get to the bottom of why that is. So you will rather say that, and then when prodded on it and asked about it, you're like, I can only speak for myself. Now, I will give you credit for saying that, but like I said, you should have kept that energy when you were asked questions prior to that. Let's keep going on what Destiny is saying. So, but as I've spoken out about my domestic violence and how I had to come to grips with that being my reality, one of the things that was said in public by Mel was that I knew one side of the story and now I know the truth and I'm in support of the other party. So for me, it was like, how do you go from supporting a woman, being there for her through those times that she never even discussed publicly, to publicly saying, now I know the truth? So for me, it's kind of hard to bounce back from that. Now, here is the thing I want to say on this. First of all, I haven't seen that reference said by Melody. However, if you guys have seen it, let me know in the comment section below. 2, let's be clear. You are just saying this now after how many years? You've had the opportunity to talk about what you were upset about with Melody, and you didn't. I feel like if it was something that was important to you at the time, you would have flagged it at the time, but you didn't. If it was the reason at which you stopped had been friends with Melody, you would have raised it at the time. You had interviews that I recall where you were asked about it and you couldn't give a valid reason. But then years later, now you want to tell us and you want us to believe that it's this statement that resulted in that. I don't believe that for a second. What it sounds like is you stop being friends with her for whatever reason that you can't say to us because you know it's not valid. Then after all of that, you probably don't even know the reason why you stopped being friends with her, but let's move on from that, right? For whatever reason you had. And then you fast forward to years later, you found out she may have said that statement, right? And so then you're like, yeah, that's why I'm not friends with her. As opposed to you were never a friend to begin with. And now you're just trying to find reasons to be able to explain why there is an issue. So I personally don't believe that. Now, also, let's talk about the fact that you have been a stan for Martell this whole time. You've been a stan for Martell all the time and for a long time. So what is good for the goose is good for the gander, in my opinion. Because you're out here riding for Martell like your life depends on it, crying for Martell, but you're upset because Mel allegedly said something. First of all, I'm not even sure she said that, but whatever. Let's even assume she did. Right? You're upset about that, but then you have been publicly supporting Martell, saying all sorts of things, threatened to expose her at a previous reunion. Let's not forget all these things. And then you now say, oh, it's hard to bounce back from that. Girl, it's hard to bounce back from all of the things that you have been spewing about this woman. How do you expect her to bounce back from that and be your friend? I don't even think she wants to be friends with someone like you, who is not loyal, who is not dependable. I always feel like sometimes Destiny gets the opportunity to like redeem herself, but I don't feel like she does a good job of it. It's like, you don't have to be friends with Melody. We've grown. Do you know how many people you fall out with whilst you're growing? It happens. It's not a big deal. These things happen. But I think the way you speak about them and these things is what shows whether you're still pressed and what your issues are. If, for instance, old friends of mine that I don't really talk to like that, and someone's like, oh my God, I don't got no issues with them, I wish you all the best. It's not every opportunity to speak about them that you are meant to be entertaining. And if you're going to entertain it, find a decent way of having the conversation. But yet, you use the opportunity to shade her yet again. And then if she responds now, you're going to be like, ooh, I don't know what her issue is. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, hit that subscribe button, tap that bell button right next to it so you know every single time that I post. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye.